Hey, what is up, everyone? This is Ete with another episode of Eco Lawn Science. I hope everyone's doing okay today. It's March, St. Patrick's Day. Nope, it's 2 days after St. Patrick's Day, and it's snowing here. And there was an earthquake this morning in Salt Lake City, about an hour away. I think it was a 5.7, which is bizarre. And there's a coronavirus out there putting the world into panic. So we're just going to keep rolling, but it's crazy. We're going to talk about moss today. Moss, that green fuzzy stuff that seems to grow everywhere where it's dark and damp and shady. Let's talk a little bit about it. One of the common things is a lot of your common weed killers will not kill it because it doesn't have a root system or a vascular system like your weeds or grasses or those type of things do. So it doesn't move the product. If you were to apply it, it doesn't like translocate or move it through the root system. It needs a whole different method. We're going to talk about common moss. There's different types of moss throughout the world. We're talking about what they just call common moss. So just that green fluffy stuff that you see. It doesn't need a lot of light, but it does need a lot of moisture, a lot of water. So you'll notice this is where you're going to find it in shady areas that are like consistently damp, poorly drained areas, so bad soil, drainage, and extremely acidic areas. So those on the pH scale where there's too much acid in the soil, it's more acidic. Those are the areas where a healthy turf grass and most plants need the opposite, right? They need good sun. They need not too damp, nice, good soil. And so that's why moss kind of grows where everything else fails, which I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a really cool plant. I actually love it as a ground cover. I know, people don't want it in their lawns, but I love it when you're out hiking. We were recently in Hawaii hiking on this trail, and we did this part. There was a ton of moss, and it was soft, and it was just really cool. It's got its place for sure. So what can we do about it, and what do we do? So the biggest things, is timing. Let's talk first a little bit about the conditions. So we want to correct the conditions, those dark, damp, wet, poor soil conditions. So one of the best things is obviously you can aerate that soil, whether you use a core or liquid aeration. Get in there and loosen it up. That compact soil, that awfully tight soil, and help to correct those drainage problems. And that will help. Check over your irrigation. Make sure you're not overwatering. Sometimes you might have a bust in your pipe somewhere, and you have a leak, and it's just spewing out, and that's going to create more ideal opportunities for moss to move in. So check on your irrigation. Make sure, and one thing people don't always do is if you have a landscape, and let's say you have 78%, that was a funny number, 78% of your area is in sun, but I guess we're going to have to go with 22% of your area was under the shade. You're probably not going to have to water that shady area as much. It's not going to need as much. So it's really a matter of understanding your landscape and what it needs. But as we said, the pH, when you have a lot of moss, generally is pretty low. It's acidic. And so what you do is you take your soil test, and there are different types of lime, and I did an episode on lime, and I've done one on soil samples and pH samples. But you'll do that, and it'll let you know. And if that pH is off, you want to correct it. So that's the first thing. So you're going to look at your irrigation. Make sure you are watering properly for every part of your property. So if it's shadier, you may cut back. Make sure your pH is dialed in. Just try to get more sunlight and just aerate it and keep that soil as loose as possible. So just those things right there will help to kind of fight it off. Now there are some treatments out there that exist now. They're a little bit different. But what they do is they usually dry out the moss. So by exhausting their life-giving moisture. So they use a lot of iron-based products. There are some soaps, soap of fatty acids that you could actually use, some more natural products like that. I know there are some remedies for dish soaps and a little vinegar. I have not tried those. So I actually love home remedies for myself, but I don't share them or discuss them publicly just because it's easy to make a mistake when you're mixing at home. So I'd hate to be responsible for that. So for that reason, I usually go with recommendations that are commercial. But yeah, there's all kinds of different products you can get. But yeah, you're just going to stay clear of anything that says like a weed killer, because that's really not going to work. And then, of course, just feed your lawn, aerate your lawn. If you have to, dethatch it. One quick the story I remember was actually my mom's house that I already brought up way back in the day. It used to be, she had a front yard surrounded by trees, oak trees, and just plants, and everything was great, but the lawn was awful. But the landscape was amazing, and it was probably 80% moss. Now, at this time, this is when I was younger, we never fed the lawn. We didn't water the lawn. It just was its own thing. And so I remember what we did exactly. We raked the entire lawn out. We used kind of a power raker to get the majority. Then we just hand raked the rest. And we got it all out and just really turned the soil up a little bit, let it breathe at least. And then we reseeded. Well, we limed it. We got the pH balanced in. We fertilized it. We reseeded. And then it took about a full year, spring, and then the fall we seeded again. And after about a year, that lawn was amazing. I mean, it really was incredible. Since then, it has gone back just because they don't have an irrigation system, and so it kind of has unfortunately gone backwards. But that being said, yeah, it's just a simple process. But I love the idea if you have a high concentration, just rip it out, just get it out of there, and adjust the soil, fertilize, and you'll be on your way. And then once you get it figured out, it might just be a little bit of some moss treatments occasionally to keep everything good. But if you keep it fertilized and get that irrigation proper and some sunlight, you're golden. So anyway, that's all I got on the moss. Hope you guys have a great day.